What makes a good guy movie? A film for guys? A dude flick? Is it the action? Is it the machismo factor? Is it the antithesis of everything a chick flick entails? It can be widely agreed upon by most guys whether or not a film is a guy movie, but little has been done to make clear what makes it as such. Why does Fight Club stand apart from other films as something guys just relate with? Why are Boondock Saints and Die Hard so damn quotable? And how many times have you emulated the action from The Matrix? There's a certain subtext in all these films that just make it so that all men can identify with them one way or another. And today we'll be looking at the cream of the crop. Here are my 5 picks for the top 5 guy movies of all time, in no particular order. Number 1. Saving Private Ryan. We can all agree that it's an epic masterpiece, probably should have won Best Picture over Shakespeare in Love that year. It's been cited by historians and veterans alike as the most realistic depiction of war ever put to film. But as you're going to see on this list, it's not the amount or quality of the action, or even the quality of the film that makes these good guy movies, but rather themes. And the big theme explored in Saving Private Ryan is the theme of brotherhood. The bonds formed between men that give each other our collective strength to persevere and to endure in the harshest of settings. Now, the HBO miniseries Band of Brothers would go much more in-depth in exploring these themes with the Men of Easy Company in the same setting. But Saving Private Ryan shows 2 sides of the brotherhood being forged. First, with the men of Captain Miller's squad all being given an assignment they don't really agree with and having to overcome differences and conflicts to get the job done. Then, when they finally find Private Ryan, him refusing to leave his post, even after all the main characters went through, because he is not going to leave the only family he has left. And to think, the Academy chose a rom-com over this classic? Come on! Number 2. 300. Now again, it's not about the action or the surrealist special effects or even Gerard Butler setting the bar forever high for being a movie badass. My future son's middle name will be Leonidas, FYI. It's about the guy theme. And 300 is one of the best examples of storytelling of the theme of standing your ground for something you believe in. The odds cannot have been stacked any higher for any of the characters of any of the movies in our list. Our heroes had no real army to show for. They were vastly outnumbered. Hell, they even had Dominic West's character conspiring against them back home. Fucking McNulty. But Leonidas and his friends spent over 2 hours of screen time fighting a battle they knew they would not win, knowing they would all surely die. Even the audience knows the outcome going in, as it was loosely based on a historical event. But 300 is a perfect guy movie because in spite of all that, they fought and believed in one thing and one thing only. This is Sparta. Number 3. Braveheart. Braveheart is a kind of deceptive entry into this list, to be honest. Most people would unanimously hail it as a guy movie, but not for the right reasons. Sure, William Wallace is an inspiring as hell character, but Wallace's main motivation was not inspiration or ass-kicking for the sake of ass-kicking's sake, but his main motivation was love. Think about it. He had to marry his wife in secret to avoid prima nocta. He's mostly on the fence about any fight for independence in the beginning. He gets found out and his wife gets killed. This prompts him to kill the British lord responsible and sets him off on the warpath. And when he's beheaded in the end, what's the last thing he sees? A vision of his dead wife standing in the crowd before he yells out, "Freedom." The whole of our character was all a direct result of the love he has for his wife. As machismo as we want our guy movies to be, we all still admit that we love our wives and girlfriends, and it doesn't make you any less of a man to admit that. Some would even say it makes you more of a man to do so openly. And here, William Wallace was enough of a man not only to do that, but to take it and let it be the driving force for this fight for independence. And in the end, isn't that what we would all do? We love our loved ones enough that we would lay down our lives for their freedom and for a better life for them. Number 4. Gladiator. To understand what makes Gladiator such a good guy film, you have to ask yourself, what is the most important scene of the movie? What is the single instance that can embody the plot, show the character motivation, and leave the audience with clear understanding of the film and the meaning behind it? Most people will look at the scene where Maximus removes his helmet and reveals himself to Commodus and gives the whole "My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius" speech. After all, it's probably the most quoted line in the film. But really, you have to look later in the film for the most important scene. When Maximus is getting ready to fight Titus of Gaul, he's in the back warming up and he's told by Proximo he knows too well how to manipulate the mob. And then Maximus turns to him and says, "Marcus Aurelius had a dream that was Rome, Proximo. This is not it. This is not it." And then Proximo looks back at him and says, "Marcus Aurelius is dead, Maximus." And then as he's running out to go fight, he says, "We mortals are but shadows and dust." Shadows and dust, Maximus! What this scene really reveals is the all-important theme of legacy. What we leave behind for the world after we die. Maximus had his legacy destroyed when his son and wife were killed. Commodus didn't live up to Marcus Aurelius' standards of legacy, which is why he decides to turn Rome over to the Republic. And Maximus' main motivation to fight isn't to forge legacy in the arena, but for the legacy of Rome. This is a thing all guys have to worry about later in life, with the children we raise, with the careers we choose, and how we want to be remembered after our time is expired. After all, we are all mortals, and we are all but shadows and dust. Number 5. 13 Hours, Secret Soldiers of Benghazi. Now for my final pick, this is surely going to conjure up some debate and some controversy. It is certainly the newest film of this top 5, and the subject matter is still hotly contested in its election year. Hillary. But 13 Hours does a great job of not politicizing the events of Benghazi, but telling a story of what mattered that day, and that's the actions of our 6 heroes. As a film, it's Michael Bay's style of filmmaking actually done right. The action is intense, the story is well paced, lots of guns, relatable characters. But the one theme of the movie that boils down to most is the scene when they finally get geared up. They're all ready to save the day. It's the money line from the trailer to sell you on what our heroes are doing and why they're doing it. None of you have to go, but we are the only help they have. I still get choked up every time I see that line when I watch the movie. For the whole first hour of the film, you get the subtext that everyone has their legitimate reasons to stand down. They have families, they have kids on the way, they have lives to get back to. But when shit hit the fan, they were being told not to act, and they still chose to do what was right. So that's our list. Tell us what you think about it in the comments below. Did I miss a movie? Also be sure to click like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.